Now, that Herpa has a very questionable record when it comes to the creation of new molds is an open secret. So it is just the better that we are able to show this model thanks to the great prices of the FMB shop. And those great prices are getting even better this weekend, where you during the Black Weekend sale can get up to 50% discount on selected models. Link in the description below. So with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a house color aircraft model from Embraer, and specifically the Embraer ERJ-195-E2. Now at the front of the box we have a cutout, so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of the box we have the Embraer branding. Then on the back side of the box we have another cutout, unfortunately, but at least we do again have the aircraft type specification, and overall a quite decent design on the box. Just a shame that there is so little box and so much cutout. And here she is, the brand new and very first Embraer ERJ-195-E2 in scale 500 from Herpa Wings in the Embraer house colors livery, or specifically known as the Tech Lion livery. Now, hands down, I'm normally not the guy to buy these house color livery aircraft models because they just don't interest me. But this model is a little bit different because it is the very first Embraer E2 from Herpa Wings in scale 500, and I'm very curious how they have solved some specific details about this new aircraft type. So I just couldn't wait until we get the Helvetic or KLM aircraft model because I wanted to see how they have been doing with the E2 right now. And so, of course, the best way to do so is simply by taking a closer look at the aircraft model, starting off with the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer find the E2 and Embraer branding. On the fuselage we then have the full registration code of the aircraft, and towards the very tail of the aircraft we also have a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage we then find the writing of Profit Hunter. Underneath that slogan we then have the aircraft type specification E195-E2. Now, we don't really find any static ports or sensors here, but to be honest, even with the aircraft in real life they do kind of disappear in this very elaborate livery, so I think in this case Herpa is forgiven. When we look at the cockpit section itself, we get the cockpit windows and the window wipers, and I think Herpa has done a decent job with that. Something I'm also very curious about here is actually how Herpa has pulled off the nose shape, so the mold around the cockpit section, and this is something I will go into a bit deeper later in this video. Because firstly I would like to take a look at these new engines on the Embraer E2, and when we look at the engine itself, they have been kept in all black just like most of the fuselage. We do have the silver leading edge printed on, the Embraer branding, and some safety relevant markings, so from the print side pretty decent. The physical detailing overall I would say is also pretty alright, especially from the front where we very nicely can see the engine fan blades. On the fuselage just above the wings we then have the emergency exits printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at. And on the top side we find the full registration code printed on across both wings, and then we of course also have the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out very nicely, and we do also have the markings for the emergency exit. Overall a very nice result so far. The underside of the wings then again offers us the full registration code printed on across both wings, alongside some more nice physical detailing. And that brings us to the landing gear, which I am particularly interested in to see how Herpa has pulled that off. Specifically the main landing gear, which we can see here in real life, bends kind of backwards the moment the aircraft touches down. So how has Herpa done with that? Well, I'm pleased to say that I think Herpa has done pretty well with that. They haven't just skipped that part and just added some normal landing gear here, but they have actually paid attention to detail and have added a new landing gear to this aircraft type, which does the exact same thing as in real life, where the wheels are kind of bent behind the main pillar of the landing gear. And the good news keep coming when we look at the front landing gear, which Herpa normally makes completely oversized, but with the new E2, I mean, that does look pretty decent. But of course we are still missing some printed details. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Embraer ERJ-195-E2 in the Tech Lion house color livery of Embraer from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Now I think there's little doubt that this is probably the best new mold from Herpa Wings in a very long time. I can't really find any major issues with this aircraft model. But let me just get quickly back to one thing that I mentioned earlier, and that was the cockpit section. Because Herpa often has some inconsistencies when it comes to the mold around cockpit sections. We've seen it with the Airbus A320 family and recently also with the A220 family, where they're just all over the place. So how are they doing with the new E2? Now, from first glimpse, I would say it does look like they are doing pretty well. Of course, we still don't have any other E2 models which we can compare it to, so we don't know how they are with consistency. But when we just look at the mold here, I would say that does look pretty all right. Although, of course, the very elaborate livery does cover up the shape a little bit, so I don't want to give 100% clearance just yet, but I would say that the chances that Herpa has done alright with this mold are quite high. I'm also very happy with the new landing gear that Herpa had to make for the E2, especially that they did pay attention to the fact that the wheels are kind of bent behind the main pillar on the main landing gear, and also that the front landing gear isn't oversized is a very positive note when it comes to this brand new mold from Herpa Wings. The engines have also been pulled off very nicely, and the wings look really good on this aircraft model. The only thing we're missing here are the landing lights, but of course Herpa normally don't add them, so I mean, that is just how it is. So if you are now just as confused as I am about praising a Herpa Wings model as much as I do, well, let's just face it, I believe in credit where credit's due, and this time Herpa has done a very good job. And while I am still not interested in any house color models, this model does make me look even more forward to the upcoming Helvetic and KLM models from Herpa Wings. And for any collectors out there who like elaborate liveries, now this one is definitely one for one's collection. Now with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, and of course if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.